Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on day 3 of Empower 2025 Summit. I am your host today, Yvette Ayuso, and I'm so excited to share with you how to break mental barriers. What I do is I actually help people to fully understand their brain so that they can so that they can begin to control their brain instead of their brain controlling them. And that way you can begin to live the life that you not only want, but you truly deserve. So hopefully you guys are ready. I'm so excited to bring this message to you today. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So Yvette, thank you so much for monitoring the chat for me. Now, if you haven't already connected with me on LinkedIn, would love for you to connect with me. And here's the QR code. And that way we can begin this wonderful journey. All right, so we're going to take a short 30-second timeout to do a PQ rep. So with your eyes closed, I just want you to, if you can, you're not driving, I want you to close your eyes and just go ahead and start taking some deep breaths in and slowly let them out. This is going to help to just reset our autonomic nervous system. Deep breath in and out. Right, we want to be centered as we share a lot today. Let's go ahead and start rubbing your fingers together. Just really feel the sensation of your fingers. Go ahead and keep rubbing. I like to rub each one so that they don't feel jealous. I know it's silly. Now go ahead and rub your hands together from finger to palm, all the way through, and just feeling all of those intricate details of the palm of your hands. Really get in tune with that. And now I just want you to go ahead and set your hand on your stomach. Take one more deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. That is a wonderful PQ rep that you will learn to be accustomed doing every day once you jump into one of our programs. And so it's really meant to help calm you from any stressors that you're having and also reset your autonomic nervous system. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that you have the power to design your future? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? What do we have? Yes, you actually do. You can actually master your brain instead of your brain mastering you. And that is what I'm going to show you today. Very simple tools at your disposal to begin using today immediately. All right, so first we're going to talk about the power of the brain. This is on page 13 of your workbook. So, did you know that about 36% of the world population is emotionally intelligent? That's it, just 36% has high emotional intelligence, but yet EQ accounts for nearly 90% of what sets high performers apart from their peers with similar technical skills and knowledge. So why is high EQ important? So we're going to learn that. Well, 75% of employers feel that high EQ is favored over high IQ for a promotion. And according to a 40-year study by UC Berkeley PhDs, they found that EQ is 4 times more powerful than IQ. And people with average IQ, but yet have high EQ, they actually outperform those with high IQ by 70%. So you can be highly intelligent, but have low emotional intelligence. And this is going to impact your ability to outperform those, at work. And so that was a study that was done by Harvard Business Review. And so let's talk about the 4 key components of EQ. So there's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So self-awareness is you being aware of your emotions and really knowing how to manage those, right? So that you're in control, and again, not your brain being in control. And then social awareness is your ability to actually hone in on other people's emotions and understand them, and actually have the ability to navigate all of those different emotions, right? As you interact with people socially. So here are some low EQ traits: low empathy, lack of self-awareness, poor emotional control, lack of emotional boundaries, difficulty maintaining relationships, overreacting to criticism. Look at there, my brain is not working well for me today. So bear with me as we get through this. So you blame and or judge others. You have poor negotiation skills, and you have difficulty expressing your own feelings. And so I want to ask you, how does low EQ affect you and those around you? I want you to really think about that for a minute. Does it impact the kind of connection that you have with others? Does it create more chaos? Is there elevated stress and anxiety? Because this is what happens when you have low EQ, or you're allowing these negative emotions to drive your day, right? Drive those relationships that you have. Can impact your ability to have that sale. But it does more than just that. What is the kind of impact that it has on your brain? So your prefrontal cortex, which we also refer to as the sage or executive brain, it actually underperforms, impairing rational thinking and emotion regulation. The amygdala now becomes overactive, so amplifying, right? Raising the fear and stress responses. But then guess what? There's another region of the brain that is affected, and that's the hippocampus. If you continue in these negative, stressful emotions for a prolonged period of time, it can actually shrink or become less active, which affects memory and learning. And that's what the hippocampus is for: memory and learning. So here's the good news: emotional intelligence is not static, unlike IQ. So high EQ can actually be achieved. And now I'm going to show you what that looks like. When you work from high EQ, you have high empathy and understanding. You're more productive and creative. You have self-control and you're more resilient, right? You're in control of your stressors. You know how to manage stress. But you also do some introspection, and you hold yourself accountable. You know how to build trust and cohesion. You're an effective communicator. You're really good at resolving conflict. And you know how to set healthy boundaries, because you know what? You are important. And you can actually improve your workplace environment. But guess what? Not just your workplace environment, you can also improve your home environment. So there's something that's called the Pareto principle. When you work from a negative mindset, you're literally depleting energy. So you're putting out 80% effort, but you're only achieving 20% results. But as you shift, right, from a saboteur mindset to a sage or executive mindset, now you're working with positivity. So you're only exerting 20% effort, but guess what? Look at that. You're achieving 80% results. This is how you conserve energy. And this has a lot to do with the matrix that Yvette shared with you yesterday. They go hand in hand. So high EQ also does a lot more. Not only will your teams perform 31% better, you being the leader, right? Those in sales, they're going to outperform and sell 37% more. Guess what? High emotional intelligence gives you 10 years of your life back, and you become 3 times more creative. How cool is that? Because when you shift and you learn how to master your thoughts, you're not only going to use your prefrontal cortex more, but you're actually going to use the right side of your brain, which is your creative side. So let's talk about neurogenesis for brain health. There are actually 6 pillars. I am just sharing one, and I chose pauses and sleep because I feel like this tends to affect us the most. So you always want to have lots of neurons. You want to have the super information highway in your brain of neurons. And the more you work towards improving your brain health, the more you're going to increase neurogenesis. Neurogenesis is just a fancy word for neurons. How do you increase neurogenesis? How do you protect your brain throughout the day with pauses and good sleep? It's really getting up from your computer, taking that, 1 minute break, 5 minute break, 10-minute break, walking outside, taking those vacations that you need, and getting a minimum of 7 hours of sleep. Our brain is not meant to sit by a computer all day long. It really will affect your cognition, and you will start to experience cognitive decline. I'm going to take a really nice nap after today. All right, so this is how neurogenesis decreases. So little to no breaks, right? Not having those pauses that you need. You're working too much, those long hours, even studying too long, literally zaps those neurons in your brain. Too much sleep. What is too much sleep? 10 hours. Way too much. 10 hours and on. And not having those 7 hours of sleep that you need. That is considered sleep deprivation. Your brain needs 7 hours of sleep, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. So you want to get that quality of sleep because you'll have longer REM sleep at night, right? At the end of the night, your brain actually goes through what is called brain priming. It's consolidating memory, right? It's increasing that neurogenesis. And then your brain detoxifies and removes toxic waste. That is known as beta amyloids. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is beta amyloids right here. So anytime you have less than 7 hours of sleep, your brain will start to experience what is called plaque. It's this toxic buildup, kind of like what you get on your teeth, right? But this is what happens in the brain. This can actually lead to dementia or Alzheimer's. And if you continue to rob yourself of 7 hours of sleep every day, that memory loss is going to begin at the age of 30. Oh, where did I put my keys? Where did I park? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. All right. Now we're going to move on to our mission statement. What is a mission statement? Why is it so important? Remember, everything that I'm showing you, this is going to help to support all of these new habits that you're going to rewire in your brain. And that mission statement is highly critical to help support you as you begin to build these new habits. All right. So what is the purpose of a mission statement? It is that one thing that you want most in life. That is what your mission statement is going to state. It lights you up to believe that anything is possible. It allows you to have the mindset that causes you to fight on a very different level. And when you connect to it every day, it's going to light your why on fire and drive you to take that action that you need. And it causes you to create a level of discipline that drives you to your greatness. I'm going to share with you my mission statement. Every morning when I get up, I write my mission statement over and over and over again. Why do I do that? Because whatever is repeated becomes reality. Everything that is repeated in the brain, what your brain absorbs, becomes reality. So this is my mission statement. My mission is to be the light that leads with love, kindness, and authenticity. I am worthy of success and to be surrounded by greatness. And I give myself permission to achieve it. Every day I step into who I am designed to be, maximizing my potential as an influential and contagious leader. and I am living by the highest standard as a high performance brain coach and serving my community selflessly. And as I serve with my whole heart, the right opportunities are showing up. This is my commitment to God, to myself, and to my son, to embrace my true essence and live by the standard with an uncommon attitude and unrequired habits that drives me towards my future in the company of greatness. My future is now. Why do I write that? Because this is my life's purpose. Now you can do a 2025 mission statement. You can change it the following year, but for me, this is my life purpose. I have lived for so long with the false identity of that I was not good enough, that I was not worthy to surround myself with greatness. I became inferior to those with credentials. It was awful. And I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made throughout my life because of it. But guess what? Now, my circle is surrounded by some pretty amazing, famous people. And they love me. They accept me. I am the student in this circle. Normally, I'm the teacher, but in this circle, I am the student. And my circle is surrounded by even some very well-known, famous NFL coaches. This is my new circle, and I love it. And I am learning so much from them about breaking barriers, about having an uncommon attitude, doing one more thing, having that unrequired habit. That's the reason why I have this in here, because I want to live by a standard. You cannot do mediocre and expect to achieve at a high level when you're doing mediocre or when you're thinking mediocre. This is about pushing yourself into believing that you are worthy of so much more. So just remember, high levels of success is uncommon, but sustaining them is also even more uncommon. And this is why you have to push yourself. And your brain is going to stop you at every step of the way because you have created a default of habits that right now is driving, right? Driving you, whether to some successes, but it's also driving you to some failures. And so that's why we have to rewire that part of the brain to new habits that are not only sustainable, but that are going to drive you to achieve that peak performance that you want. So right now, I just want you to brainstorm some ideas of what you think your mission statement might be. How do you want to be the light? Do you want to be the light that brings about joy? That's one of my clients. She wants to bring joy to everyone that she connects with. Isn't that beautiful?
What would you say is a good way to start it, just to kind of get us in that mindset? Like I want to, or I am, or
You
I
can say
can't
my
remember how you
mission. You
start.
can start my mission. My mission is to be. My mission is. Now, the one thing that I want you to be aware of with regard to my mission, not once did I mention money, because your mission is not about money. It's about becoming. It's about being. What kind of leader do you want to be? What kind of influence do you want to be? Because we're all put on this earth to serve humanity in one way, one shape, one form or another. We're all here to serve humanity. What does that look like for you? So for me, my mission is to be the light that leads with love, kindness, and authenticity. But I also want to be an amazing, contagious, and influential leader and giving back to my community. So important to me. Now that you've brainstormed some ideas, now you can begin to put it together. And I really want to encourage you to write it every day for the next 90 days. And you'll see as you begin to shift into some new habits, how much this mission statement is going to support you. Because it's really going to give you that motivation that's going to drive the action. And that's what we want for you. All right, let's talk about neuroplasticity. This is found on page 14. All right, so I do want to share with you about a client that I had. She's a chief operating officer, and she had 3 saboteurs that were really affecting her: controller, stickler, and restless. She created a work environment where was very stressful, very, very stressful. And her attitude was, check your emotions at the door. I don't want to hear it. She wanted to change careers and go from being a COO to becoming a dentist. What a huge difference, right? The first time she took her dental exam, it's called the dental admission test, she failed. And that's the one thing that she wanted to pass. And I said, okay, we're going to work together for three months. We're going to make it happen. So we created some goals. We attached some affirmations to that to support those goals. You'll learn more about that in a minute. We developed an action plan for her to begin studying. And every day she was to tell her brain, I am so proud of myself for working hard in studying that I passed my dental exam with flying colors. I don't care if she only studied for 15 minutes. She was to tell herself that every single day. When she went and took the exam, it was grueling. She said she wasn't sure. And I said, I don't care. You keep telling your brain that you passed. So again, can you trick the brain to your advantage to work for you? What do you think? Well, let's see. Sure enough, she sent me a text and she said, guess what? I passed. We celebrated. Woohoo! As you can tell from my text. She said, thank you so, so much for your help through this entire process. I truly, truly appreciate your help from the bottom of my heart. She said a whole lot more than that, but you get the picture. Yeah. You have the power. You have the power to change how your brain works right now. It does take some effort. But if you make that decision to go all in, I mean, the results are amazing. All right, this is why we want to attach a goal or an affirmation to a goal. So there was a 1-month study of basket free throws that were done. And they had 3 groups. Group 1 practiced free throw every day. They physically did it. Group 2 visualized free throwing every day. Well, group 3 didn't do anything. And you can see they got no results. But between group 1 and group 2, there was only a 1% difference. Group 1 that practiced free throwing every day, they improved by 24%. And group 2, they visualized it and they improved by 23%. This is the power of visualization. Powerful. So when you set your goals, if you don't know how to attach a really strong affirmation to that goal, we are here to support you. Because we want you to have the success that you deserve, so that you can take the action that you need to get there. All right. So when you set those goals and you attach an affirmation to those goals and you say those affirmations every day, because that's what it's going to take. You don't just write it down and then it's done. You actually need to say it every single day as you put those goals into action to create those habits that are going to support you. But guess what? Your brain's not going to be happy with this new change that you're creating in your life. It's going to start firing off on all cylinders. And all of these negative thoughts are going to pop up, even some that probably you've never heard yourself say in a very long time. But I want you to understand that it's just your brain protecting you and trying to keep you back into those old habits. So when those negative emotions pop up, I really want you to look at it as a gift. But remember that those negative thoughts are really only there as an alert signal, kind of like that bell, right? Firing off. So think about those negative thoughts as a hot stove. Are you going to leave your hand on the hot stove and get burned? No. You're going to move it quickly, right? Yeah, because you don't want to keep being burned. So it's the same thing with your negative emotions. You do not want to stay in those negative emotions because what's going to happen is they're going to take you down a rabbit hole. They're going to take you down a rabbit hole. And it is so hard to recover from that because the moment your negative emotions take you down that rabbit hole, guess what the amygdala brain can do? Guess what kind of power it has? It literally has the power to shut off the prefrontal cortex. So you lose all reasoning, And you need your prefrontal cortex. You need that executive brain to help you regulate those emotions. This is why taking your hand off the hot stove and shifting quickly is critical to your growth. So here is the framework. We call it self-command. Is really going from subconscious automation with those negative thoughts to conscious awareness. Because when you're aware of those negative thoughts, you're going to be able to shift. Number 2 is recognizing that those negative thoughts are a gift and not a curse. They're there for a reason. Again, it's just a safety zone to keep you back and safe and familiar, right? One thing that you want to understand about the brain is all about energy efficiency. This is why everything is automated. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, right? You have those cues to eat. You drive to the store to get some groceries. You already know the store, right? You know the path to get to the store. Have you ever driven in your car and was in such heavy thoughts that you don't even know how you got to the grocery store? It's like, how did I stop at the lights? How did I not hit someone? That is subconscious automation. Your brain doesn't need you to get from point A to point B if it's been there so many times. So again, awareness is key, right? Number 1 is awareness. 2 is recognize. 3 is shift. Get your hand off the hot stove immediately and then reframe. This is the most important step. Reframing those negative thoughts into positive thoughts to support your brain. And then journal. It's okay to journal what you're thinking, those negative thoughts, and then reframe it into a positive thought so that you'll remember the next time. Because remember, what you repeat becomes reality. All right, this is where we really get into the nitty-gritty of how the brain works. Are you guys ready? Ready to build new habits that are going to support you for sustainable change? All right. So when you put an action, right, a goal into action, your brain experiences what is called neurogenesis. It's just a fancy word for an explosion of baby neurons in the brain. Most of those new neurons form in the hippocampus region. Remember, that's where learning and memory take shape, right? But unfortunately, 80% of those new neurons, they die off within 48 hours if they're not used. That's a lot of neurons that die. That's the reason why you're asleep. You know, when you're asleep, that brain has to go through that brain priming to get rid of all of those dead neurons. All right. So now you've got an explosion of baby neurons in the brain. Now what? As you're forming these new habits, what happens is it takes approximately 3 weeks or 21 days for those neurons to mature to full size for you to be able to use it. So this is step 1, right? We need those baby neurons to become adults. And once they become adults, that's where they attach and they begin to form that new habit. This is just step one of the two-step process. There's a lot of work. Like I said, the tools are really easy, but it takes a lot of work. The brain is one of the hardest things to change. It's much easier to build physical muscle than mental muscle. But if you're in it, be in it to win it, right? Be in it to win it. Be in it for the long haul. There is no overnight success here. That's why building mental resilience is key in this process. All right. So this is what happens in 3 weeks. Week one, you're motivated, right? Let's just use exercising as an example. I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. So you make it happen that first week. Well, week two, your brain starts to mess with you. Oh, I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I'll just go tomorrow, right? Because that's the job. The brain's like, wait a minute, you're creating a new habit. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna do everything in its power to stop you. It gets really messy. And I have clients that really struggle here. And I just tell them it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Keep doing it. I don't care if you just make it to the gym 1 day a week. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. Don't look at what you're doing wrong, because then you're strengthening those old habits, right? You want to focus on what you're doing right. So be in it. Be in the ring with Muhammad Ali and duke it out with your brain. Duke it out. Because if you make it to week 3, it gets easier. Because again, right? Repetition. That's what your brain needs, is that repetition to keep going. So this is what happens. The reason why I have this up, because I want you to understand that we tend to beat ourselves up when we don't achieve our goals. You really need to tap into your inner child as you're doing this work. What kind of child were you? Were you a goofball? I was a goofball. I was silly. My nickname was Funny Face. I would make funny faces to everybody. That's why I got that nickname. I was goofy. And so I really had to tap into my inner child to understand the importance of self-love and forgiveness in this process. This is what happens when you celebrate the one thing that you did right during that day. This is what happens in the brain. This is what happens in the brain when you forgive yourself and you love on yourself for not accomplishing your goal that week. Neurochemicals. You're literally rewriting the chemistry of your brain. Oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin explode in your brain. Oxytocin, why? Why do we need oxytocin? Because it begins to build a connection and trust with yourself, and it reinforces an emotional bond with yourself. How cool is that? And of course, we need dopamine, right? It's that addictive hormone. Gives you that sense of accomplishment and pleasure as we celebrate that one thing that we did right. But not only that, it actually signals the brain that you're on the right path, which helps to increase that motivation. Serotonin is there to increase that self-worth. It improves your mood, fosters emotional balance. But guess what? It does more than that. It reduces the feelings of shame and guilt. How cool is that? So the more you focus on the negative things that you didn't do right, the less you're going to get of these beautiful neurochemicals that your brain needs to maintain a healthy brain. But it doesn't stop here. This is so cool. Now, there are specific regions of the brain that are going to be activated when you put this habit into action of self-love and forgiveness. Prefrontal cortex. This is going to help you to make balanced, self-compassionate decisions. But then your anterior cingulate cortex is going to help you process those emotions and let go of self-judgment. The amygdala part of the brain, right, that saboteur, it's going to have less power. So it's going to reduce fear and self-critical emotional responses. But then your default mode network, right, that's ruminating those negative thoughts, It's going to help you to self-reflect, and it's going to promote positive self-awareness. And we need that self-awareness. Remember, we need to be aware of those negative thoughts that are popping up so that we can quiet those down. So remember, what you repeat, you strengthen, and that becomes reality. That emotion from doing that one exercise that week at the gym, depending on that emotion, it's going to activate that specific region of the brain. Are you going to default to your saboteur brain? Are you going to default to the new sage executive brain, right? Prefrontal cortex. I could say, why do I bother? I only work out one time this week. Forget it. It's a waste of my time. I'm going to strengthen those negative thoughts, right? Remember, we just had an explosion of baby neurons that have gone from 1 week to the third week. They've matured in size. They've just formed that new habit. If you allow your brain to default to saboteur, you're going to destroy that new habit that you formed, and they will disconnect and they will die off. And that's why we want to focus on that one thing. Say to yourself, I am so proud of myself for going to the gym one time this week. Woohoo! Celebrate. Do your jiggy, do your John Travolta dance, right? Remember, we want that explosion of those neurochemicals. This is where you need to tap into that inner child. Do that jiggy dance. Na, 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 na. That's the silly side of me. All right. Now, this is the coolest thing. Once the neurons have matured in size, they're actually going to connect to another neuron in those 3 weeks. And now you get to actually see this under the microscope. Isn't that the coolest thing? I am such a neuroscience geek. I really geek off of this stuff. So now your neurons have connected to other neurons. So there's another step that needs to happen here. So as you can see, this is the new habit that you just formed, but now you have to strengthen that habit so it can become automated. So here, these little hot dog buns, this is what I call them. This is the myelin sheath. The more you continue to put that goal into action to form that new habit, the more you're going to strengthen the myelin sheath. It could take anywhere from 67 days up to a year to strengthen that new habit. It just depends on how much power that old habit has. So the more the power of that old habit, the longer it's going to take. So be patient. Be patient during this process. And again, we're going to focus on what we're doing right and not what we're doing wrong. Because when we focus on what we're doing right, we weaken the old habits because we give them less attention. All right. So when this happens, as you're forming the new habits, again, you're going to weaken the saboteur part of the brain and those negative thoughts. And you're going to strengthen the executive part of the brain, right? That sage brain, the prefrontal cortex that helps with decision making, helps to regulate those emotions, brings about that creativity side of you. Takes time. Like I said, be in it for the long haul. The tools are easy, but the work is hard because again, you're dealing with your negative thoughts and your brain doesn't want you to change. All right, so here's a quote by David Goggins. If you've never written his book, I highly recommend getting his book. It's amazing. He says, when your mind is telling you that you're done, that you're exhausted, that you cannot possibly go any further, know that you're only actually tapping into 40% of your brain. You're only actually 40% done. You still have another 60% to go. Yeah. You ever see those athletes where it's like, you think that they're not going to make it and all of a sudden they just get a burst of energy. This is what David Goggins is talking about. It's mind over matter. It's all in the mind. All right. So I want you to take a moment just to write down 3 new habits that you, I'm sorry, not new habits, but 3 habits that you want to weaken, and then 3 new habits that you want to strengthen. That is in your workbook. It's part of your homework. But you can start writing that now. Think about those habits that are not working for you right now. What specific thoughts are you having that is creating these negative emotions, that is causing you to be paralyzed, that is not allowing you to, perform at your highest level? And what 3 new habits that you want to begin to strengthen? Is it that you want to wake up early? You want to go to the gym? You want to be more efficient as an entrepreneur? You want to have better connections at work as a leader? Maybe you want to be a better parent. It can be any. This is for you. What is it that you want to do in 2025 that's going to shift and make the difference? Remember, you have control of your brain. You have that power. Start tapping into it. Start harnessing that power of the brain. Shift your thinking. Know that your brain's going to continue to try to default you to your old ways. But again, we're not going to pay attention to that, right? We're going to focus on what is working to build and strengthen those new habits. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions with regard to what I've shared?
So we have a lot in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
As you were talking, if you want me to kind of just give you
Sure.
an update on that, or okay. So someone did ask, and how do you become more aware or make yourself know that you have other choices to make?
Mm-hmm.
How would you answer that?
How do you become aware? So because your negative thoughts are so subconsciously automated, think about when you do something wrong. It took me about 2 weeks to recognize all of the negative thoughts that were floating in my mind. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it would happen in the shower, which is kind of crazy, but it would. And so it's like I had to repeat it so I wouldn't forget it. But again, I'm also strengthening that habit, right? So, or those negative thoughts. And so once I got out of the shower, I would write them down and then I would reframe it. I'm not good enough. I am good enough. But then I would even take it a step further. I would think about something that I did that was amazing, right? Maybe I impacted somebody's life, or maybe I did an amazing presentation, and I would put that right next to it. I am good enough. See, this is what I did.
So it sounds like you're focusing on the facts
Mm-hmm.
too, as soon as that negative thought appears.
Yes. Yeah. It'll take a while. Like I said, you're in such subconscious automation. Just to give you an idea of how much your subconscious brain is used, compared to your conscious brain, your brain uses 95% of your subconscious brain or subconscious thoughts. I don't think I said that correctly. But anyhow, you use 90%, 95% of your subconscious brain compared to only 5% of your conscious brain.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. So
So
you have to
everything is
tap, there's a
automated.
lot to tap into.
Yes. A lot to tap. This is why self-love and kindness is so important during this process, because this is what we're used to. Think about, if you want to even go deeper than that, I mean, just think about generations, how your grandparents lived, how your parents, your parents lived, now how you live. Think about all of the thoughts and the patterns and the habits that they've passed down from generation to generation that you've developed, that you've picked up. Some may be great habits, but others not so great. Maybe you experienced a very negative situation that developed into an identity that created the habits, for safety, for protection. It's a lot. The brain is very powerful. It's amazing. I used to tell myself that I hated myself growing up. I hated myself. Like, I'm just going to be real and vulnerable here. Hated myself, didn't care if I died. Honestly, that was me. I wasn't going to kill myself, but it's like, hey, if it happens, it happens. I'm nobody, I'm not important. So why am I here on this earth? I went from self-hate to self-love. This is why teaching you about the brain and the power of the brain is so important to me so that you can have the success. It does take some work. I'm not going to lie. It does take some work. And funny thing is that now that I'm stepping into this next level of my self-development, the last time I told myself that I hated myself was well over 20 years ago, probably even closer to 30 years. Last year, I did something wrong. And what popped in my brain? I hate myself. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? I don't hate myself. But again, it's just a protection mechanism. That's it. For my brain preventing me from stepping into this new unknown that my brain sees as a threat. It's not a threat, it's a perceived threat. It's not a real threat. So again, it's just really walking yourself through those emotions. It's like, oh, wait a minute, let me give myself some self-love. I got you, girl. It's all good. We're headed in the right direction. I love you. It's all good. I'll blow myself kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Go high five the mirror because the mirror will high five me back. Right? Yeah, take some time. But you know what? We're here to help you through that process. It's hard to do it alone, you guys. Honestly, it is hard to do it alone. You need that support system. And that's why we're here to do that for you. Anything else in the chat that I should know, Yvette?
Yes. The video, everyone still loves, well, we love the video, Marie and I do, because we've seen it a few times. So there's some people in here that said that is so wild. Wow.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
beautiful. And it really does show, like you had mentioned, the baby neurons connecting to create those strong habits. It doesn't happen overnight, just like you said.
It doesn't happen. This is why so many people that when they create New Year's resolutions and they quit the first week, remember, Yvette talked about that. There's a specific date. What was it? What is it called?
The
National
second
Quitters Day.
Friday
Yeah.
in January.
Because
2 weeks into it.
Yes, because people don't understand. Okay, 2 weeks, right? Messy. Did I not say that the second week is messy?
Yeah.
This is where people quit because you don't understand what is going on behind the scenes of your brain, just like a computer. I don't know what everything that's working inside my computer. I just know that I could turn it on and it works, right? But now that you understand what is actually happening in your brain, give yourself some grace as you move forward. Remember, okay, I need 3 weeks. That's step one. Need 3 weeks for those baby neurons to mature to full size, right? Now they're connected, but I got to keep going. Listen, you're going to keep making mistakes because you're unwiring old habits and your brain's going to fight you. It's going to fight you tooth and nail. That's why you put on those boxing gloves. Get in the ring with Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, duke it out. Duke it out.
I do want to say you had asked the question about your saboteurs and what does that prevent you to do, and I can share a couple of comments if you want.
Yeah.
Someone said not being able to show up in the way I want to when I want to, not being able to achieve what I need to achieve in academics and in life, or turning people away, pushing people away.
Yeah. This is what it does. It puts up a wall. So the idea here is to break down that wall, right? And rebuild a new wall or a new foundation to help support you. That's why I had to peel back so many layers so many layers of feeling unworthy for so long. And to rebuild myself to say I am worthy, I'm confident, I am intelligent, I have some amazing gifts and talents to serve humanity with, and I deserve to be seen and surrounded by greatness. That is why my mission statement says that. That is my life purpose. My son and I, we used to fight all the time. He's now 25. Oh, I love my monkey. That's what I call him, my monkey. We used to fight all the time. You know why? Because he wanted to be seen and heard, and I wanted to be seen and heard. Yeah. I went through this work. I've been doing self-development work for well over 5 years now. Went through this work, and as I started to change, he started to change. So instead of our conflict being like this, I could say, Monkey, I don't agree with that. He's like, why, Mom? Well, I'll tell you why. And it's like, well, Mom, you got to trust me. Okay. Not happy with it, but I'll trust you. That's our conversation now. Very calm. So calm. When I first started this process with him, he would be raising his voice and my voice level would be would be very, very calm. And then I would just have to remind him, Monkey, we're having a normal conversation. There's no need for you to raise your voice. But again, it took some time to get there. It's amazing the relationships that we have today. This program changes so many different areas of your life. So many. See, I had the power. I had the power to change my home environment because I changed. Yeah, it takes a lot of work, but you got to be in it for the long haul. Got to be in it for the long haul. So what's next, you guys? Let's talk about this. Listen, if you're tired of your monkey brain, I'll call it a monkey brain. If you're tired of your monkey brain keeping you stuck in these vicious cycles of negative patterns, I don't know if you remember the movie Groundhog Day. This is what you're doing, is every day you're reliving the same old pattern and it's not serving you anymore. You're tired of setting goals that maybe you either failed at altogether or just completed a few of them. Maybe you're tired of being stressed out, overwhelmed, and really don't know where to begin. Like, we're here to support you. And I want you to see what this looks like. So we have what is called an 8-week program, the Elevate program, to really elevate your emotional intelligence, to step into the real you. Because what happens is when you have all of these negative thoughts, it creates a false identity. It's not the real you, not 100%. So it's like peeling back those layers, breaking down those walls, reducing that stress and anxiety, quieting those saboteurs, right? Stop judging yourself. Stop judging others or circumstances. Not only is this going to help you to improve a relationship with yourself, but you're going to improve your work relationships and your home relationships. I had a call today with a client. She said, I'm so done. I'm so done with therapy. She's been going to therapy for weeks. She said, I've only been in this program for 1 week, Yvette. My gosh, the change. Her and her daughter. This is their relationship. Fighting. She said, I want to put my daughter into the program. I said, sure, happy to support her. I'll be signing her up next week. I know, isn't this amazing? I'm telling you, this is the kind of power that you have. So it's going to help you to increase your sales and build better connections with your clients. It's going to help you to begin that building that mental toughness and resilience that you need. Not only is it going to help you to improve the quality of your life, and Yvette, you said something earlier to me about the poll that was really crucial, and I cannot remember, but it's also going to add 10 years of your life. Was it peace?
70% of the people in that poll said that saboteurs mess with their peace.
Their peace. This is going to give you the peace that you want. Yeah. I don't stress out. It's very rare that I stress out today. If I'm late for something, I'm like, okay, I'm late. I'm going to throw on some music and I'm just going to enjoy while I get there. I don't rush, because that's working from saboteur. It changes your whole outlook on life. So it's a very simple three-step process. Okay, so you're going to learn, shift, and execute. So step 1 is learning how to silence those top 3 saboteurs that affect you the most, that keep you in that survival mode, so that you can develop the new habits to support your new growth. Then you're going to shift. You're going to embrace the positivity and stay in control by activating your executive brain. I like to call it the executive brain instead of sage, because again, Executives, they're in control. This is about you being the CEO of your life. This is the reason why the prefrontal cortex is in the front. It's looking out. You're in control. That's why we're going to tap into that more so that it drives the success that you need and that you want, right? And then execute. It's really going to, as you implement all of these tools every day, it's going to transform your home, your workplace dynamic. It's going to foster connection, have peace and harmony, and it's going to allow you to achieve that peak performance that you want. This is the platform. So not only do we put you in the platform to do those PQ reps like the one that I shared with you earlier, but it's going to actually show you how much you're building that mental muscle, right? That sage executive muscle that you need to be able to work proactively instead of reactively, because that's what we do. When we work from saboteur, we're reactive. We work from sage executive, we're proactive. So in addition to that, you get to work with us 1 day a week for 8 weeks solid. We're here to support you. That's what we want for you. So here it is. Here is the QR code to work with one of us, myself, Maria, or Yvette. We would love to work with you. Our program starts on February 8th. I see that I have stars instead of starts. I'm only human. I make a lot of mistakes too, but I don't judge myself anymore. That's right. So please, if you haven't yet, please book your free strategy session with us. And that way you can learn more about what we have to offer with this program. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. If there are any additional questions, would love to hear from you. You can more than welcome to come off mute.
Can you talk about the new program? So for those that have actually done PQ in the past, what can they expect if they do join the new program?
So the new program, believe it or not, is more interactive. It's more robust than the old program, and it actually taps into more of self-love and forgiveness as you begin to shift from your old habits to your new habits. Same thing will work with you for 8 weeks. And every year we have new goals, right? So your goals from last year are completely different from this year. Maybe last quarter was different from this quarter. So 90-day goals are there to support your annual goals. So if you have a year-long goal that you're really striving to achieve, then we break those up into quarters. Let's start with the first quarter. How can we support you? Maybe you achieved success at work, but maybe your home life is not as successful. Then maybe we can help to improve that. Maybe your marriage. Maybe you want a stronger relationship with your children. Maybe your parents, could be anything. Or maybe you have a very strong home life, but you want to be more successful in your career. We can help you with that too. Again, it's being in it for the long haul, right? And Yvette, if there's anything else that you want to share, please do.
No, I think you hit it on the head there. I think the idea of doing the program again and having that support from a coach is valuable for anyone watching this on replay. So we would love to hear from you and make it and personalize it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, it's very difficult to do this on your own. Some people are very successful, but you have to think about athletes. Are athletes training on their own, or do they have a coach? Not only do they have a physical fitness coach, but they also have a mental coach. Can't. It's so much easier when you have that support system. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. We look forward to seeing you. Please make sure to book your strategy session with us. And again, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Be happy to, have a one-on-one discussion with you. If there's anything that I can do to help you, myself, Maria, Yvette, to help you on your journey so that you can have the success and life that you truly want and deserve.